Hello.
Hello everyone. Good afternoon. Hope you all having a pleasant day today. So we are back once again with our lovely Dr. Varsha. Hello doctor, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And we would like to take this opportunity and inform all the viewers and congratulate Dr. Varsha as she has become the President-elect 2021 of the International Affiliate of Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics USA. A hearty congratulations, Doctor. Very happy to hear that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. So today is the last episode of our nutrition education initiative. And next week, we will be doing an exclusive question answer session where Dr. Varsha will answer all the questions which has been asked till now. And also after this episodes, the viewers, whatever questions they post, all these questions will be answered next week exclusively. So we'll start off with today's episode. So today's episode is about dietary principles. And in this, Dr. Varsha will be talking about why to eat, what to eat, when to eat, and how much to eat. Every kind of food that we intake will be explained along with childhood stages of eating and what can be done to inculcate good eating habits. So now over to Dr. Varsha for a detailed explanation.
Yeah. Present afternoon to all the viewers. Yes, we have come to the fourth episode, and here we are looking at the dietary principles. Now, what is the difference between the nutritional principles and dietary principles? Is nutrition principles tells you exactly how the nutrients are going to function in your body, while dietary principles will answer the question, the objective of which is when we say you are what you eat, then we need to know why to eat, what to eat, when to eat, how much to eat. That would be the questions that the dietary principles would answer at this juncture. Because to you, it is much more important that you understand what needs to be fed. Now, look at this slide. There were questions to me on the word RDA. Okay, basically, it is nothing but recommended dietary allowances. Please understand, RDA are meant for population. If I am running a school and I want to give breakfast to all the children, then I need to understand what is the allowances that they need to be having, and then according to their age, how to work it out. There is also something called RDI, recommended dietary intakes. Okay, so let's not go into this rigmarole of words, but basically what we need to understand is that at every stage, as I'd explained to you right in the first episode itself, that while we say children, they are not miniature adults, and that you have a huge age range starting right from being delivered, that is zero, day one, to till you are completing 18 years of the life. That is a huge span, and it is not just one age span. Each age, every 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, makes a difference on how they need to be fed. So in this chart, I have captured the whole thing in terms of how the energy requirement, the protein requirement, the fluid requirement changes along with the type of foods that we can give to the child. So you can see in the newborn, neonate, lactating infant, 0 to 6 months, we give them calories which is highest in terms of per kg body weight, 92 calories per kg per day. And you know that the baby could be ranging anything from newborn weight of 2.5 kilos to going up almost up to 4 kilos. So per kg, we keep on increasing the requirement of energy as well as protein also, because there is a huge multiplication happening. It is 1.16 gram per kg, and amount of fluid that we need to deliver the energy and the protein would be almost zero point 0.7 liters per day. But you know that this is being conveyed to you only through milk in the first 6 months. All right, it's called a lactating infant. Just revising on what you had seen in the first one. Then the next one is 6 to 12 months, which is a weanling infant. The calories comes down from 92 per kg to 80 per kg, but the protein requirement goes higher to 1.69 kg per day, and you find that it goes to zero point 0.8 liters per day. And here we not only give them milk, but we also give them other fluids like fruit and vegetable juices to begin with, and we are also beginning to introduce semi-solids as we go along. But I have not put that as a major issue immediately for the simple reason they still prefer drinking. So even if we are giving any cereal, it would be more like a kanji rather than giving them as a pureed or a semi-solid or a soft solid. So you need to understand that the amount of energy required is less than the first 6 months, but the amount of protein required is more, and that slightly there's an increase in the fluid intake. Coming to toddler who's 1 to 2 years, then we start giving them as per se. The quantum is fixed, 1060 calories per day, and the grams of protein is also as an absolute figure of 16.7 grams per day, and 1.3 liters of fluid or water needs to be given. For preschoolers, it is 1350 calories, 20.1 gram per day of protein, and 1.7 liters of water. Teenager 6 to 9 years is 1690 cals per day, 29.5 grams per day, 1.71. The fluid remains same, but we are increasing the calories by 300 and about 9.4 grams of protein. Again, teenage, now till 9 years, the boys and girls were a combined unique gender. We didn't differentiate between boys and girls. But once they get into the teenager category, we segregate as boys and girls. And 10 to 12, which I call the early adolescent period, the girls will require a little less than the boys. So the boys are 2190 calories, while girls are 2010 calories. The protein is slightly marginally more for girls because they're preparing for motherhood. They're getting into the menarche age. So it's 40.4 grams versus 39.9 for the boys. But the fluid is more for boys, 2.4 versus 2.1. And 13 to 15 years, the boys really overtake 2,750 calories versus 2,330 calories for women. And the protein is 54.3 because they now have to become more muscular. So they need more protein, while it is 51.9 as far as the girls are concerned. See the difference in the fluid, 3.3 liters per day versus 2.3 liters per day. And then 15 to 18 years, it can go as high as 3,020 calories for boys, 2,440 calories for girls. The protein is 61.5 grams per day versus 55.5 for the girls. And the fluid goes up to 3.7 and 2.7 respectively. Now, having given you the broad outline in terms of energy, because you need that coming from carbohydrate and fat, protein because there is bodybuilding that is happening, because a child who was born as 2.5 kilos, by the time they reach their teenage years, they are almost 50 kgs. And so how did that weight gain happen? It is because of the amount of food that was consumed, the energy that was consumed, and the protein which allowed that superstructure to keep on expanding. So having seen this, let's understand it by the next slide, where we are now looking at, the nutrients. Now I'm connecting your energy to the nutrients. You need to understand that come what may, cereals and millets are the staple food of human race. So it doesn't matter to me, I'm repeating, whether you eat rice, wheat, ragi, bajra, jowar, but you definitely need to eat more of cereals and millets. They are your staple. Along with pulses, legumes, lentils, whether you eat green gram, red gram, black gram, tur dal, masoor dal, chana, chola, rajma, it does not matter to me. You call it dal, you call it sambar, you call it kuti, you call it verum parpe, whatever way you want to eat it, they are the ones that give you the proteins of human race, and so they are very, very vital. Milk and milk products continues to be on our food groups because they are an excellent complement and supplement source of several nutrients, especially protein also. And as I had mentioned earlier, the lactose, the milk sugar, allows the calcium to be absorbed and utilized better. So milk and milk products continue to be a prominent adjunct to our food requirements. And then the vegetables, which is the one which gives us the nature's tonic to human race. You don't need to give any tonic if you give them vegetables. And just to refresh your memory, 5 groups: green leafy vegetables, roots, tubers, other vegetables which are water containing, and other vegetables which are other than water containing, like peas, beans, and brinjal. So having summarized that, yes, and also fruits also are a part of the nature's tonic to human race. They come under the protective food groups, contributing to minerals, vitamins, and fiber. Dry fruits, nuts, oil, seeds also give you energy, fat, and protein, along with giving you the tonic part of the requirement. But you please remember, the fresh fruit is mandatory, dry fruit is only optional and additional. And you should be using the seasonal fruit and on rotation each day of the week, okay, rather than trying to buy the exotic. And again, refreshing your memory, it is divided into 4 groups. Orange and yellow fruits like papaya, mango, and banana give you vitamin A. Citrus fruits like sweet lime, lemon, and oranges give you vitamin C. And other category of fruits are the ones where we use cashew fruit, pineapple, tomato. Amla actually comes up under citrus also. Because they give you vitamin C. And then the dry fruits are figs, dates, raisins, sultanas, groundnuts, coconuts, sesame seeds, etc. Okay. Having said that, let's move on to understanding. Since I converted your energy and protein under food groups, now I need to give you a prescription. The first prescription was energy, protein, and fluids. But as a layperson, I told you, you will only understand food and you will not understand nutrients. So I convert this whole requirements according to the age group into cereals, pulse, milk, vegetable, and fruit. And you see that 0 to 7 days, it's only milk. And see how the milk increases from, say, 10 ml on the first day to about 470 ml on the day 7. That's almost half a liter by the time the child is 7 days, 1 week old. And then it increases from the 3rd week onwards to about 480 ml. That's again, it remains at 450, goes to 600 by the 4th week onwards, and then keeps on increasing 800 ml, 900 ml, 1000. By 24 weeks, that is 6 months, the baby is consuming 1 liter of milk. But in the first 30 days, we are only talking about milk and no cereal, no pulse, no vegetable, no fruit. It's in the next part that we keep on increasing, that is usually by 4th month. 3 months are completed and the 4th month. We are still not starting cereal and pulse, but we are including besides milk, fruit juices at the rate of 200 ml. And for that, you must use at least 25 grams of the vegetable or the fruit pulp. 25 grams of vegetables, 25 grams of fruit. So 50 grams in a day is what you start from the 4th month. So you started introducing the from 4th month, something other than milk. You also need to remember one thing, that you need to do it for 3 consecutive days, the same vegetable juice. And you don't start on fruit at the same time. Once you have introduced a vegetable juice, then you know that the child has no problems with it. 3 consecutive days at the same time. Generally, I say by 10 in the morning, because by then your husband would have left for the office and your other children have also left for the school. You finish your breakfast. You are also relaxed. Before you will start on your lunch run, you are relaxed enough to give the baby who had the breakfast, be given the juice, such that in the event of any adverse reaction, you have enough time to run to the doctor. Also, if there is, what sort of reaction? There can be rashes, there can be vomiting, there can be loose motion. Rashes especially are better picked up in the sunlight, not in the under the tube light. You never know what you're seeing is the right thing. So I recommend that you introduce the vegetable and the fruit juice by the fourth month at 10 o'clock in the morning as one feed. And once the baby has got used to it, you can start having the vegetable in the morning and the fruit in the afternoon. So there is 400 ml that will go by the time the child is 6 months old. Then coming to the 6 to 12 months as such, I'm sorry, I have made a little mistake. This is up to 6 months. They continue exclusively. Then we come to the weaning part. And in the weaning part is when we say 6 months to 12 months. By the time the child is 1 year old, the child eats almost half the quantity of what mother eats. So if the mother has been a poor eater, expect your child to be also a problematic eater. Okay. Don't blame only on the child, blame the mother also. Okay. And here what we do is we start introducing cereal after 6 months, or we also look at the weight gain. If the weight gain has crossed 6 to 7 kilos, even earlier than 6 months, then milk alone will not be adequate and we start on the weaning. But how much of weaning we do? We give 50 to 70 grams of 75 grams of cereal. So you start with a lesser quantity, increasing it to a greater quantity, but not exceeding 75 grams. The protein comes to you from pulses, as I said, 10 to 15 grams. Now, these are all raw weights. When you cook it, I will give you an explanation on how that also increases. Now, because we have introduced the cereals and the pulses, you can see the milk comes down from 1 liter to 750 ml. And now the fruits are increasing to 50 grams. And here we definitely will give the breakup on the basis of what I gave you, the food groups. So you have got 5 food groups, but I've given you only 3 values. That is because I said 25 grams of greens. And then when I said 10 grams of roots, it also includes tubers. So 5 grams of roots, 5 grams of tubers. Or sometimes you can give only full 10 grams of roots and give 10 grams of tubers, depending on each day how you want to manipulate. And then the water-based vegetables, you give 10 grams and you give other vegetables 5 grams. So here when I say 10 grams, 5 grams, we are introducing it as a concept, as a small piece. Okay, we are not expecting them to be eating the whole potato or the whole brinjal or anything like that. We are introducing it as a concept, okay, and the fruits will become about 30 grams per day. Toddler increases to 100 grams, 20 to 40 grams of protein. The milk can again go down a little bit to 500 ml, and then you can increase it to 750. The vegetables becomes 80 grams, and the fruits also increase from 50 grams to, it can range from 50 to 100. Preschoolers, 100 to 200 grams of cereals, 30 to 60 grams of pulses, same 500 to 750 ml of milk, 125 grams per day as far as vegetables is concerned. From now on, you will find that the fruit maximum requirement of 50 to 100 grams is reached right from 1 to 2 years, and it continues for the rest of your lifetime. Then coming to the teenage, the cereals increase from 200 to 250 grams. The pulse maybe by another 10 grams on the higher level. You get back to milk at 1000 ml per day. The fruits, vegetables remains as 125, the fruits between 50 and 100. Now we come to the teenage years, 10 to 12. Here we give it as 260 to 300 grams, same amount of pulses, 30 to 70,000 ml, 175 grams of vegetables. You can exponentially start seeing that from 25 grams of greens, it became 50 grams, then it became 75 grams, and by the time they are teenage, it is 100 grams, that is the adult requirement. We are still continuing on a lower level as far as roots and tubers are concerned, but we are increasing as far as other vegetables are concerned. It has come to 50 grams now. And then 13 to 15 years, when it comes to the girls, we are still on the lower range, but it is increasing to 290 to 350 grams of cereals, 50 to 70 grams of proteins, 1000 ml, but the fruit also is 200 to 250 grams. Okay. Boys, to 370 grams to 430 grams of cereals, the other parts remain almost the same. In the boys, a girl 16 to 18 years, we are still capping it at 350 grams, but for boys, it is from 430, it has reached to 450. So you see that exponentially we increase the cereal. That's why I said it's a staple of your life. And concurrently, you have to keep on giving them the dal because that is the perfect marriage between cereal and pulse to give you enough of energy and to give you enough of protein. And milk is only adding on to as a source of protein. Vegetables and fruits have all been worked out for the 5 groups. So now you've seen how I've converted your nutrients, energy, protein, and fluids into the food groups: cereal, pulses, milk, vegetables, and fruits. Next one. Yeah. See, when I said, please remember what I've given you is raw weight. So when it comes to cereal and pulse, the cooking will expand the volume. For example, the rice, if I take 100 grams, it will become 250 grams because rice is the one which expands the most. The chapati does not expand, it is much more compact. So you cannot go by volume. Some people try telling me small idli, small chapati, big chapati, thin chapati, thick chapati. You need to understand volume is very, very difficult to explain, and that is why we talk about how much has to be given in terms of grams, and then we convert it and say, okay, if I am in my house, if I take a batter which consists of rice and the urad dal to make the idli, then the standard portion in any hotel nowadays is 2 idlis with sambar and chutney. Now you understand how we convert the grams into the actual standard portions that we give to people. If you go to a hotel, they use a coffee dabra measure to set out the mini lunch. So you have 3 different variety rice that are given. Or if they are giving you the meals, then they will also set out a quantum of rice that is given to you and everything else. Now, they might let you say that you can have more rice, but then the amount of sambar, the rasam, the curds, the vegetable, all that which is given is restricted. And so you will mix everything and eat only that much of rice. So there is always a standard by which we work out on this. Now, with the pulse, you saw there was a range. There was a lower value and a higher value. So the lower range of intake when alternate protein source such as non-vegetarian foods, meat, fish, or eggs are consumed. But we do not want to exceed with only meat, fish, or eggs replacing the pulses. You must give the lower quantity of the pulse to be included along with additional things. And please remember, even nuts and oil seeds like peanuts, cashew nuts will give you some amount of protein, but we will not allow you to exceed 30 grams of consumption of peanuts or something per day. Groundnuts or cashew nuts or whatever it is, and that comes as your tea time snack. Now, vegetables I've explained to you enough number of times, and so also as far as fruit is concerned. But the reason I'm repeating it here is because I have written last 2 sentences. Liquidize fruits using 25 grams of fruit pulp from any 3 groups, that is yellow and orange or green, citrus and other fruits. You can use 25 grams of any one of those fruit groups pulp. And for the 4th group, you can add, the tender coconut water. So this is how you basically can liquidize as far as the initial portion when the infant is only fed by liquid. And then you can use the same quantity in terms of steaming or puring or mashing using 50 grams for any of the first 3 groups. And then as for the 4th group, the coconut water, you can include even the meal component of it as far as the children are concerned. So I am just converted the nutrients requirements to the food group requirements and explain to you of how you have to make a composite meal. Next one. Okay, now for each of these age groups, I want to give you some more important points as far as the dietary principles are concerned. Recapitulating: a newborn 0 to 7 days, a neonate 0 to 30 days, an infant 0 to 6 months are all under the category of called a lactating infant. These are to be described as voracious drinkers. They do not eat, they only drink, and the milk quantity increases from 10 ml on day one to they almost go up to 1000 ml by the time they are 24 weeks. How often to feed them? We say self-demand schedules of feeding as such per day. In the newborn, you might feed them 8 to 10 times in 24 hours. It is usually by 1 month that 3 hours between feedings becomes okay with a child. And in 2 to 3 months, 4 hour feedings also, so that they are able to sleep through the night after a late evening feed. So these are the hallmarks for you to understand, am I doing the right thing? As when can I expect my child to be sleeping more? Or if my child sleeps through the night without waking up in the middle, then you know that I'm doing the right thing in the daytime so that the child is sleeping at the night time. Next one. Having said that, you also need to understand that it is only from 6 to 12 months where they drink, but they also eat, but they do not chew. Okay, they still do not have teeth. So what are you to do? You have to give them things which are pureed and mashed and things like that, so that it is only swallowing. But we are using solid foods. We are introducing solid foods. And how do I know that the child is developmentally ready? That is when I look at the birth weight, which has doubled, or what is the upper limit. I say weight is greater than 6 to 7 kilos. And in our Indian population, even at 5 kgs, there are times when I have introduced solid food in a child because the mother's milk was not supporting the growth. See, we keep following on weight and length of the child to know that mother's milk is supporting a weight gain. If the mother's milk is not weight or supporting, we would like to transit them to a solid food, but not before they are 5 kilos, definitely. For the simple reason, enzymes will not be produced for them to digest a solid food. So, there are so many things that have to be taken into consideration. But a ballpark is if the weight is greater than 7 kilos or 6 months have been passed by the child, then you can start solid food straight away. You don't have to wait till it is Navratri, Vijayadashmi day, or it is by the time child is 1 year old. You don't have to do any other ceremonies for it, as long as you are looking at the ceremony of the weight or the age of the child. So they drink milk, they drink juices, both fruit juices and vegetables, and the combination that you give in solids is a cereal and pulse, and the fruits and vegetables also as pureed and mashed like a paste or porridge ground in a mixture. When it comes to your food consistency, dilution will reduce infants' nutritive intake. That is when you're adding more water. So I like it as paste or porridge because I'm adding less water. Okay. At the same time, if I fail to dilute the concentrated form, it may result in too strong a formula with the infant may vomit. And please remember, temperature feeding, room temperature or warm to body temperature is the right way of feeding. It should neither be too hot nor too cold. So please remember on the consistency as well as on the temperature. Okay, we come to 1 to 2 years. They're called exploratory eater because everything goes into their mouth. A decided change in appetite and interest in food, wants to play with food to feel its texture, tries to feed with hands. So you normally give them mashed or chopped to begin with. The toddler likes the finger or sliced food that can be held by them. But you have to be careful that, they should be seated when they're eating, and it cannot be without supervision. A child fed without supervision can choke. Okay. So you have to be physically present when you are feeding your 1 to 2 year old and allow them to be messy. There was a lovely picture right in the beginning introducing the subject where the child had food all over the mouth. You allow them to be messy, but that is how they learn. They need to coordinate between their fingers, picking up food from the plate and taking it all the way to their mouth, and then, trying to chew on it. So this requires coordination, and it has to be self-learned by the child. Nobody else can do it on their behalf. So you have to let the child do it. And if you don't allow it, when you miss this window, then you find that the child never learns to coordinate. Okay, so at age 1, please remember, eats at the family table and eats half the quantity of what the mother eats, and should consist of cereal, pulse, fruit, vegetable, milk, and milk products. This is by age 1. By age 2, you can introduce whole egg, chopped liver, lean meat, fish, poultry, and as if desired by the family. But please remember, it is started in small quantity. Don't expect, when I say whole egg, doesn't mean they will eat the whole egg. What I'm saying is whole egg as an item can be given to the child. Okay, so this is as far as a 1 or 2 year old is concerned. The next one, and the next thing you need to remember is that you need to assure there is a gradual transition to family diets rather than attempting to wean suddenly. It is not that, the day you do the puja with the big homam is the day that, the child will be served totally on a banana leaf and the child will start eating. No, it is something that starts at 6 months of age and it takes 1 year. It's a gradual transition. And you need to take common problems into stride, such as temporary refusal of foods with a new texture. You have to help and encourage self-feeding to the child. Expect decrease in appetite in late infancy as growth slows down. Struggles and battles of will about food must be avoided, and teach child to shun mouthing and eating of non-feed items. Keep the environment safe for these children at this age. This is very, very important. Next one. Then we come to the next age group, that is the preschooler, 3 to 5 years. Now I call these the finicky eater. Okay, they eat and drink well balanced food and beverages, but they are the ones who will go into food jacks. They will want only one particular item at a stretch, and these patterns do not persist for very long. Please remember. So don't panic. Do allow them, but then don't just give in. Keep on teasing them with the other foods, even though if they don't accept, but you can keep telling them, see, Appa is eating it, Amma is eating it, Tata is eating it, Pati is eating it. Somewhere you keep on reminding them that they are being different from the whole family, that they need to get back to the family. But don't push them, okay? Just keep on persistently reminding them. It is very essential and mandatory that pulses and vegetables are consumed every day. It is not that you make vata kolumbu, kara kolumbu, meenu kolumbu, all these kolumbus, rasams and all those things, and the sambar is made only once a week or twice a week. Now, why is that happening? Because adults are doing that wrong thing and that is being imposed on the child. Between 3 and 5 years itself, the pulse and vegetables is essential and mandatory every day. And eggs, fish, chicken, meat are not essential, are not must, they are not mandatory every day. Please remember, it must be eaten as a bonus and not substituting pulse and vegetables. Now, a good estimate of a size of a serving for a 3-year-old would be 3 tablespoons. If I were to take a look at rice, how much of it I should take, and then it becomes 4 tablespoons. I'm talking of big tablespoon, not teaspoon. So you keep on increasing by taking it, a standard tablespoon or a ladle to understand how you're slowly increasing, because as they keep increasing, you will find they reach 1 coffee dabra measure, because every South Indian home has a coffee dabra measure. I generally say that 200 ml of dabra measure cup and the dabra will be a standard way of looking at both the liquids and the solids to be consumed. Next one. Okay, now with the preschoolers, you need to assure levels suffice to maintain normal growth and development with respect to their physical activity and their rest. Okay, you must encourage them to have various food choices, nutritious food in the home and at school. Preschooler means they are going to the day schools for a short time. So even at school, you need to encourage them to have nutritious snacks and food as such. Okay, and you must avoid sticky, sugary snacks for these children. Their eating behavior is fostered by providing suitable role models. It is very, very mandatory. If the father comes home late, please do not make him a role model at that time. Please, mother must continue be a role model, eating along with the child. Grandparents are there, then they can be the role models, but they have to eat at the time the child requires to be fed. not the child being fed when the adults want to eat. Okay, permitting the child to make some decisions about types and amounts of food eaten. You do permit them, but do not present to them things that are absolutely not in relation to what is a balanced meal. All right. Because I said you need to permit them, but then if you've introduced the right combination of foods, you can permit on what is available today to eat. For example, a child can say, okay, I will like it only with sambar, and I will eat with more of sambar and less of rasam. Or they can say, I don't want rasam at all. But if they are going to insist only on rasam and not eat sambar, then that sort of permission is not given. It's some amount of, you can mix parpasadam and then put rasam alone and give it to them. You can cheat the child a little bit in a different way. But this is where your experience as a parent has to come into play. You need to teach them table manners appropriate to his or her development at the preschool stage. And you need to keep meal times as peaceful social interchange. Okay. No politics, no other discussions should be happening at the meal time, because the child cannot be a part of those exchanges and it gives them a wrong message. You must avoid the excessive use of food for emotional purposes, that is, bribing is not permitted, and handling struggles over food reasonably to avoid the development of feeding problems. The child should not associate feeding as a problem time at all. It must be that they should think of it as a present time. Okay. So the next one we move on to is understanding the teenager. The teenager is between the age of 6 to 9 years, and we call these as imitator eaters because this is the time they learn to become sophisticated and responsible food consumers. Okay. Now, even here, see the difference in their development. The 5 to 7 year old prefers food to be plain foods. They don't like kurmas. They still like the potato to be eaten as potato and a tomato to be eaten as a tomato. They like plain foods. They don't like complicated foods. But between 6 and 7 years, they're willing to try new foods they previously disliked. So you need to use this window. I'm trying to emphasize to you when you can look forward to changing and impacting the way your child was eating. And the 8 year old prefers impressive foods. They have ravenous appetite, but with few refusals and strong preferences. Food judged by odor, color, and attractively served dishes make an impression on the child. Okay, so you need to impress them with your culinary skills at this point of time to an 8 year old. And in the 9 year old, they like foods to be interesting, in the sense that they like to help you prepare it. Okay, there is some positive in their likes and dislikes, and you can explain to them why you're adding the mustard at that time and why you should let it splutter and what does it do to you and why must you add the vendium and when you should not add the vendium and when you should add the mustard, all this explanation. And please remember, this is an age group where we are still not segregating between the boys and girls, which means that this education is must for survival for boys as much as to the girls. It is not only the girls who have to learn cooking, so they need to know about the mustard and the vendium. It is even the boys who need to know about it at this point of time. Next one. Having said that, what basically would want to monitor? We need to monitor for their growth and health and fitness by looking at the height and weight and ensure satisfactory nutritional status. Again, I repeat, it is essential, mandatory every day for pulses and vegetables, not mandatory or essential for eggs, fish, chicken, and meat. It must be only a bonus, not substituting pulses and vegetables. This is very, very important. And you instill healthy eating habits and attitudes about foods and eating by providing good examples and guidance. You must encourage the child to eat breakfast. Eating nutritious snacks and meals must be encouraged. Moderation in providing food rewards, especially sweets, and promote eating and physical activity habits that will foster normal body fatness, help them or her to regulate rather than cut energy intake slightly so that the child can grow out of the fatness and diet related risk of dental caries are minimized. This is very important because It is in this age between 6 and 9 that the dental caries in children start manifesting. So you have to be extremely careful in how they are being fed at this time. Next one. Having said that, we will be next moving. Next one, please. Yeah. No, I think we have skipped something in this. Is some slide missing? Just please go back. Yeah, I think 6 to 9 years, yes, but what about 10 to 12 years? Somewhere, some slides have been missing. Okay, when it comes to, okay, I will still cover it up and talk to you on that. When it comes to the adolescence, what we are basically looking at is the same sort of principles that we are looking at in terms of the, like I told you, for age group. So what is it that I would want to highlight? Yeah, no worries. I will just cover it up in my talk, and then I will send it to you so that it can be included in your presentation. Somewhere some slides have not reached you. Okay, so basically what we are looking at it in terms of adolescence is that they are called challenged eaters. And when it comes to these eaters, what basically happens is that they will, oh, yeah, okay. What will basically happen is that, why do we call them challenge eaters? Because they themselves are not able to understand how the hormones are changing in their systems at this point of time. So when I say early adolescent, 10 to 13 years, is when that they start developing their sexual characteristics. Like girls will have budding of their breasts, and they will be proceeding towards their menstruation and things like that. Okay, with boys, it is still little further down, but they will start developing a change in their voice. There is wet dreams, and they are becoming a little more muscular. So their enzymes and hormones are going into a big rage, and so that is why they're called challenge eater. At the same time, this transition from a boy or a girl to an adolescent that is becoming an adult man or a woman, it is an extended period from 10 years to 18 years. And so that is where the challenge comes. They want more independence. They have got more peer group pressures. Okay. Along with their own bodies that are changing, they have these external forces. And they have to please. The girl wants to please the boys around her. She wants to. This is when they develop problems like anorexia nervosa. That is, what is anorexia nervosa? They have got a wrong body image. They want to remain very slim. You see this more in girls than in boys. But yes, they all want to be having the Barbie doll dimensions. Please remember, Barbie doll dimensions are not a physiologically active person. Okay, she is not the one who is a real woman. These dimensions don't fit with physiological function. They can never be a mother. A Barbie doll can never be a mother for the simple reason those dimensions are not physiological. So you need to understand, anorexia nervosa is a wrong body image that the child has in his or her mind. And then what they will do is they will stop eating. And for every little thing they eat, they will stand on the weighing machine and say, oh my God, I put on weight, and they will not want to eat. So you need to understand that these sort of problems happen in the adolescent period, or they go to bulimia. What is bulimia? For everything, emotionally they are upset. Oh, today, that girl didn't look at me, or that boy didn't look at me, or, the whole bunch of people made fun of me in the class. And so they are very emotionally upset. So what they will do, they will sit like a couch potato, and then they will eat food. Then they will say, oh, but I didn't eat enough. But there's no hunger. So they'll go to the toilet, put their fingers into the mouth, vomit out everything, and then come back to sit and eat again. That's called bulimia. The famous example of somebody who was anorexic and also bulimic is Princess Diana. At one time, if you will see her pictures, emotionally she was so upset. She was anorexic. And then from anorexia, she went to the other extreme of becoming bulimic, that is eating and then vomiting it out and again re-eating as such. All these problems come under a challenged eater, and that is an adolescent. So, having told you that at each age group, how are the dietary principles to be manipulated? Also, there is so much of independence that comes in by the time the child is a teenager. Okay, you remember that advertisement that used to come for Amul, which says too young for this but too old for that age, and so but right age for Amul. It's something like that. These people want to be all grown up, okay, and all we grown-ups want to be like child. That's a different story, okay. But here we find that all the children in the adolescent groups want to act and behave like grown-ups, but they are not as yet grown-ups. So this is where the conflict comes in, and there's a lot of peer group pressure. They learn to smoke, they learn to drink alcohol. We used to think that these were things that were happening only in the Western world. Not true. It is happening in our population also. Now, when it comes to the special children, yes, I'm not going to be worried about them accepting to smoke or drink, but peer group pressures is definitely there. And emotional upheaval is what the parents need to understand. A child who is already challenged in other ways is being challenged because of their age bracket in which they are. So you have to be extra careful to see they don't become obese. You have to be extra careful to see that they stop eating and be anorexic. So all these are the things that we need to look at. So today I have converted what I had given you as nutritional principles last week into the present thing into dietary principles. Now, I think right from the second episode on responsive parenting, some of the questions, the reason I decided to answer your questions at the end is because they were all related to in the responsive parenting itself. People were asking me about junk foods and the RDAs and things like that. So I felt that it was very, very important you first understand the nutritional principles and the dietary principles. Having already told you about food, I will connect all the three and give you an answer that would be much more easier for you to understand. I think in the next episode, besides answering your questions, I would also want to share with you some definitions of words like convenience food, junk foods, okay, fast foods. All these are the words that you are all familiar with, okay, but where you can use them, how you can use them without being challenged about it, without compromising on the nutritional status, and how they can be incorporated to a balanced meal is what I would tell you in the next episode. So thank you so much for your patient hearing. I really enjoyed. I must say, Ekadaksha has given me a wonderful opportunity to interact with the parents. I have been doing this earlier, but it used to be a session where I came, I spoke, and I went away. But by putting it on to the Facebook, by seeing that this is going to be available to you at your convenience, you can always go back to what I've said. It can raise another question for you. And though I will cover some question answers that come in immediately for the next session, you are still free to have your questions routed through Ekadaksha, because it's not just a very simple thing. Your child, a growing child, is a dynamic child. Every day the child is increasing in their height, weight, in their metabolism, in the way the body is activity is concerned. And so, please don't think of a birth date and a death date as fixed events in your life. Every 160th day, half of us is new. All right. And how does that happen? You can't put yourself under a microscope. Even if you were to keep watching your nose every day, you don't know when it became half new. All right. You will look at your nose and say it looks the same. I don't know. It doesn't look like it has changed at all. But believe me, every part of us is getting changed in a cycle, and every 160th day, 120th day, we are half new. When I say 120 days, it's a question of, looking at 3 to 6 months, basically. For example, your blood will change, in every few days. But why we say bones are the ones which take longer? Why? That is why we say half of you is new. Some enzymes and hormones come and go in matter of seconds. So you are eating such that you're supporting this dynamic growth and maintaining its equilibrium. So any questions that keep coming in your mind as you observe your child and you want a clarification, you're welcome to pass on the questions to Ekadaksha people. They are very, and I again repeatedly say thank you so much, Archana and Bharti and the team at Ekadaksha for giving me this opportunity to interact with the parents. But your children are my teachers, and you parents are also my teachers. It is when you tell me what your child has as a problem, and when I meet up the challenge of solving the problem, is when I learn, because we are all unique diamonds of this nature. Okay, and we all have to shine with the best of our capacity. So once again, I hope I've covered the basics, but anything more required, I'm willing to cover. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Beautifully said that the teacher, the parents, and the children are, of course, our teachers. So, with this, viewers, we finish all our 4 episodes with so many informations, and hope this knowledge will help you all gain to understand and plan happy meals to make your child eat more happily and more conveniently. So thank you so much, Doctor, for taking so much of initiative, giving us so many inputs and so many informations, such valid informations, all that is very much required and necessary for us. And also for patiently coming every week to our FB Live program, even with all the busy schedules that you've been having. Thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. This connection is a never ending connection, of course, with you. And sure, I would like to tell all the parents, all the viewers, please take this opportunity, ask whatever questions come in your mind. We have one more session next week, and would like to inform you all again that next week, 26th February, at same time, 3 p.m., we'll be doing a live question answer session with Dr. Varsha. And as she said, she'll even give more valid and very informative details about junk food and lot more other details. So please come forward, send us all your queries related to nutrition or anything connected with your child's eating, food, everything. And we'll get back again to you with all the queries and questions answered. So until then, goodbye. See you all next week. Good luck. Thank you so much, Doctor. See you again next week.
My pleasure. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.